Welcome to Money in Tech. We're here today with Jacob Hansen, co-founder and CEO of CrowdCurity. Thanks for coming on the show, Jacob.
Thank you for inviting me.
So first off, what is CrowdCurity?
So CrowdCurity is basically crowdsourced web security. So we have this army of white hat hackers, which we connect with businesses who wants to improve their web security. So we believe very strongly in this model because the threat that businesses are facing today is a global threat of attackers, of bad guys. And kind of for a business today to defend themselves against that, they'll need kind of to mirror that in the defense. So that's why we're doing crowdsourced web security.
Okay, so if a business wants to use CrowdCurity, what do? They go to the website, sign up, and then you just send your army of hackers to attack?
Well, pretty much, yeah. It's pretty easy, actually. You can get running with a security test in a matter of hours. So you just go to a website and you create kind of this reward program, or someone knows that as a bug bounty program. Mm-hmm. And we can basically put that live as soon as we have kind of verified the business and the owner and so forth, and invite kind of our crowd of security testers. And they will start, testing your website, testing your business, and see if they can find any security issues. And if they can find anything, they'll report it, and then you'll get the chance to fix it before the bad guys are doing it, really.
Excellent. So how is this different than other similar solutions?
So really the difference is here that, so imagine that you're a small Bitcoin exchange, mm-hmm. and you want to do a security test. So the alternative today is that you call some local security consultants, and you have two guys coming out, and they'll charge you like $200 or $300 an hour. You pay per hour, and you get some local guys who might not know your technology stack and so forth. But by crowdsourcing it via CrowdCurity, we can connect you. At the moment, we have 800 security testers. So you give a completely different kind of breadth of a security test by being exposed by all these white hat hackers. But the other thing is that these security testers, they are not being paid per hour, but they are performance based, meaning that they'll earn rewards each time they find a security issue. Therefore, the incentive completely changed. And you need to do that in order to stay secure, because the incentives for your defense need to be similar to kind of the way that the incentives of the bad guys, the attackers. Because as we normally say that the bad guys, the attackers, they don't charge per hour. So you can't really fix that by having some security consultants who charge per hour. The incentives are misaligned.
So what are the biggest risks that you see both to the consumers and to the operators of these Bitcoin websites currently?
So there are a lot of risks, of course. I think the biggest challenge today is really the problem for Bitcoin websites and Bitcoin exchanges communicating how secure they are. And also for the end users, it's very difficult to understand how secure a website is. So there is a lack of transparency, really. And actually, a bug bounty program or reward program is really also a way to communicate that you take your security seriously, and that you're interested in leveraging kind of the security community in improving your website security. So let me put it this way, for example. It's very difficult to have a crappy security, but at the same time pay out $2,000, $3,000, or $5,000 to security testers who can find issues on your platform. So if I'm an end user, I would definitely go for websites that kind of have decided to put their money where their mouth is and pay out rewards to security testers who can help them find these security issues. And the other thing around there really a problem with transparency, right? Because, for example, what happened with Mt. Gox? Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of stories out there, and people saying this and people saying that, but nobody really knows still, right? And I think the same problems we have with kind of the other Bitcoin exchanges and wallets going down, right? There's so many stories out there of what happened, right? So it's around transparency and building trust within the security space in Bitcoin.
No, I agree completely. I mean, it wasn't really a technical issue with Mt. Gox. It was an issue with solvency, and no one had any idea what was going on. And then even after the fact, no one still knows.
Yeah, I think Mt. Gox is an interesting case, right? I mean, I really think that it's the main problem here is around communication and transparency again, and that actually boils down to leadership, right? So that's what actually looking at CrowdCurity, what we are trying to do is just being very transparent and also being honest that, and we are not 100% secure. And if someone is saying that, they're lying. I mean, there's always a trade-off, right? And nobody's 100% secure. So it's around communicating that and being transparent around that.
So what is Capture the Coin, and how does that work?
So Capture the Coin is really kind of emerged from, there's been this within the security for the last couple of years or time horizon called Capture the Flag, where basically a group of security testers try to break into something and capture the flag of an opponent team. So we are basically just taking that to the Bitcoin sphere by calling it Capture the Coin, and instead of capturing flags, you're capturing Bitcoin private keys. So we have in our own website, we have hidden some Bitcoin private keys, which we have then invited kind of the white hat hackers to come and see if they can find and kind of take from us. And the reason why we have done that is that we believe very strongly in transparency and also putting your money where your mouth is. So we, of course, say we're very concerned around our own security, and a very strong way for us to communicate that to the community is by really, hiding some private keys in our website, which shouldn't be accessible by anybody else. And that kind of enables us to give a lot of transparency around our own security, because everybody is able to monitor these public Bitcoin addresses and see if someone has broken into our site and stolen those private keys. So it's kind of taking the capture the flag we know from security into the Bitcoin sphere and then putting your money where your mouth is in this manner.
So that's very cool. It sounds like you actually have Bitcoins on your website that if anyone can hack you, they can get them. So you're creating this big reward basically to show the community that you know what you're talking about.
Sure. So for example, we have a tester account where we have hidden a private key in there where there's deposited half a Bitcoin at the moment, right? And it's deposited in the address section of that tester, which is non-public information. So if someone else is able to get access to that tester account and steal that private keys, everybody would know straight away that someone is in there, right?
Right.
So it kind of facilitates really radical transparency, because one of the problems we have today in security is kind of information asymmetry between kind of the end users and websites that want to communicate that they are secure. By doing it this way, I mean, we're putting our money where our mouth is, and we can communicate to everybody really if we have been compromised. And for sure, I mean, we're not 100% secure, and nobody is, right? So really what it enables us to do is that once once someone is able potentially to find that private key, we are getting notified straight away, and we can fix that, and everybody would know straight away, right? So it's around being transparent around your security as well. So just adding to that, in general within security you have this called intrusion detection system. So when someone is breaking into your site, you can detect that an intruder is in there, and being notified and setting some actions, taking some actions on that. And really what we are building here is an intrusion detection system, but using Bitcoin, where we can kind of get notified once we see any movements on these addresses, and can set automatic operations like closing down our site or limiting certain actions of our site, just based on those movements on these Bitcoin addresses. And I think that's very, very interesting, because if you look at intrusion detection systems historically, what we are now able to, by doing it with Bitcoin, is tying it to monetary values. So you can imagine, for example, that you hide private keys, various set of private keys, that the further you get down kind of to the holy grail, or where you store kind of the real information, that the values deposited, or the Bitcoins deposited on those private keys, increase in amount. Thereby, each time an attacker kind of attacks your website and get further down, he's faced with the choice of digging deeper, or just taking that the money that is there on that private key, right? And once that is happening, you're closed down. So I mean, right now we're experimenting, we are learning from it, but there's a lot of interesting stuff there that we can kind of use the features of Bitcoin to move bug bounty programs and security to the next level.
So you're originally from Denmark, and I think we're all well aware that just recently the IRS came out and they said that Bitcoin is property and it will be taxed with capital gains, et cetera, et cetera. And Denmark almost simultaneously came out and said there will be no taxes on Bitcoin. You care to elaborate on that? And does that mean you're going to move home?
No, so it definitely doesn't mean that I'm going to move home, because even though that they're not taxing Bitcoin, we still have extremely high taxes in Denmark. So kind of the personal tax is like 50%, right? Oh. So you don't want to. There's a strong incentives to work somewhere else, really, if you're earning a decent salary.
Thanks for coming on the show, Jacob.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here.
For more information on CrowdCurity, check out the show notes at moneyandtech.com.